What do you do when you feel like you just want to give up? In one of the groups that I'm in this past week, one of the young entrepreneurs posted about just wanting some encouragement because she's been at her business for 3 years and she's learned so much during that time. She talked about, even though she's had a lot of disappointments, she's come back from it even stronger. This time, she did a big launch and she worked hard to get everything, and she hasn't gotten any sales. And she's working hard at it. So what do you do? So I wanted to just touch on that today because there's two things that come up for me on this, because we can get so burnt out as entrepreneurs wearing all those different hats and things like that, that it gets discouraging. And so I can count on more than my 10 fingers how many times over the 30 plus years that I've been doing entrepreneurship that I've felt like giving up. This can happen because some days we just don't feel it, right? There's two things, like I said, that come up for me. And one is I want to separate myself out of this. I want to say, okay, how can I take care of myself and say, okay, how can I separate my feelings about how I'm feeling about this today from what's actually happening in my business? So the first thing I do is I separate myself out from the feelings and I think about how can I re-energize me? What can I do for me to help bring me back to my center, to who I am, to what I know is true, and to realize that this is an emotional roller coaster, what we do. Entrepreneurship is the biggest personal development course you could ever take. And then the second thing that I can do is if something's not working in my business, I go and look at the numbers. Because the numbers don't lie. The numbers will always bring you back to the fact that you get to decide, you get to see what's happening. Is what I'm offering really resonating with my audience? Okay, but let's say what you're offering is amazing. What the products you have and the services that you have are amazing. Maybe you're not reaching out to the right audience. Maybe you haven't found your right audience yet. Or is it how you're offering your services? Is it something that you wish that you could offer differently? Or you could look at it and go, oh my gosh, here's a different way that I could do this. I could actually go over here and start talking to this group of people because they actually need what I'm offering. And then you can think about, have I tested different things about what I'm doing? Is what I'm creating and offering something that's just something that I love, but there really isn't a need for it in the marketplace? I mean, that can happen, right? We're creatives. We love to create. We love to do things. But if there isn't a need out there in the market, then we could be really missing the boat. And one of the things that I've realized too is that our messaging is so important. And oftentimes we're not taking our messaging into account. Like, are we really telling people what we do? Are we really offering our services? Are we introducing ourselves the right way so that people automatically can understand where we're coming from, what we're offering, what are our products? Is it resonating? How do you know? How do you know if what you're offering is resonating with people? Well, if you're in face-to-face with someone and you have that, you can tell when someone's kind of glazed over and being like, okay, you know what? No, I'm not really getting what you're saying, or I'm not interested. Because people are always talking about what's in it for me. What's in it for me? So are you introducing yourself and letting them know what's in it for them to be able to talk to you? This can play out not only in your social media posts, but do you do networking? Do you go to any kind of events where you're telling people about who you are and introducing yourself? What is the message that you're putting out there? This is just one small area of so much that we do when it comes to sales and marketing. And if you've been in my kind of atmosphere very long, you know that sales and marketing, I talk about there's two different things here. Your sales are your immediate revenue, like what's coming in right now, who you're actually selling to at that moment, and you're having that conversation one-to-one and making that sale. Or it could be one-to-many if you're selling something in a larger venue, right? Or you're speaking or something like that. But the other thing is your marketing. And your marketing is all about preparing you for your future revenue. Okay? So what are you doing with your messaging? How are you talking? How are you doing things so that you bring people in? Now, I'm going to put in a plug here. If you haven't joined my community, Business for Creatives, over on Circle, I'm going to put a link in the notes just so you have that, because I'd love for you to come and join me. In that, I do a training that is all about how to come up with your perfect message. And so it's part of my community. It's free. And every month I give a basic training to that group. Come and join me. Think about how you're doing your messaging, how you want to show up, how you want people to see you. Because let's face it, business can be tough sometimes, and we need all the help that we can get to set ourselves apart. And you want to set yourself apart from your competition. And I know that we're all about community and growing together, but let's face it, you do have competition out there. The only thing that separates you from them is you. You're the one unique thing that no one else has. So how are you going to show it and let other people know the amazingness that you are and what you create? Like I said, short and sweet today, just the two things. When we feel discouraged, when we feel like giving up, I want you to step back for a moment and think to yourself, okay, I'm going to separate out my feelings, and I'm going to separate out and look at the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. How can I do things better? How can I make it so that my business is working for me and with me? So I'm going to tell you, go out, be bold, be strong, and realize that you get to love the business that you have.